get a little bit of music in you. And the way people get it today is just ain't it. I'll just tell you a little bit how that spirit got me feeling. Here we go. Hey. Spirit got me feeling like I'm foreign. Every day with Christ is like I'm soaring, yeah. Had to turn my life to what's important. Matthew 23, not talking Jordan. Spirit got me feeling like I'm foreign, yeah. Every day with Christ is like I'm soaring, yeah. Had to turn my life to what's important. Matthew 23, not talking Jordan. Red hat, 4 letters, making Jesus real again. We in the game, get active and we see them in the stands. Is he man? Is he God? You can say it's all the same. I can kick some demons out in Jesus' name. Oh Lord, when it comes to rapping about my Jesus, I'm in go mode. If anyone swears by the temple, that's a no-no. 30 years young, but I feel like an old soul. Spirit clean my heart, now I'm feeling fabuloso. Spirit got me feeling like I'm foreign. Every day with Christ.
Yo, welcome to Locked In Christian. You guys already know. Wow, that locked in sign is absolutely beaming. I better go ahead and turn that down. Let's see. All right, there we go. Yeah, it was going crazy in here, man. Welcome to the show, guys. Today I got another special guest. We're back 2 for 2. This is This guest is a fashion expert, guys. I want you guys to know that this is a Christian fashion expert. Okay, I mean, this guy's taught me about drip more than I ever thought. I honestly probably wanted to learn, but I'm very excited to have him on. It's quite amazing to to be a Christian and also be dripped out all the time. And he's going to be our first Gen Z on the show. So I'm very excited to have none other than my brethren, Maximus. Welcome to the show, Maximus. There he is.
What's going on?
There he is. There we go. Hey, welcome to Locked In Christians, as the sign said. Hold on, I need to fix that because
good to be here.
Yeah, we gotta have the sign in the picture.
What?
He's already in trouble. But yeah, welcome to the show, man. So excited to have you, and I'm pretty sure
Great to be here.
as all the minions start trickling in. But we're gonna be talking about exciting stuff today because listen, if one thing I know about Gen Z, they're dripped out. Okay, they take that fashion seriously, and and it's actually quite interesting being in our space as people of the faith. We don't really think about the drip a lot, and I'm really maybe we're sleeping on it, and I think we're going to be awakened and be shown new things. But hopefully, what Max is going to bring us. But anyway, Max does more than just wear clothes, guys. He's a absolute construction expert. He's been working construction for probably all his life, to be honest. And always been around.
Since I was a wee baby.
There you go. And yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about the faith journey, transitioning from milk to solid food, what that looked like for you. And ultimately we're also going to talk about how Gen Z feeling these days in the faith, because I'm seeing a lot of revivals happen in college campuses, all types of stuff. And so, we're gonna get Max's perspective on that just a little bit later. Super excited. But also, guys, don't forget to check out edifymusic.com. That's where we put all of our latest drops. And I heard this guy Frenchie Riff has got an album coming out called Matati, where he was born.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Big drop.
Yeah, literally.
It's gonna be huge.
No, that album's coming out in May, and I'm telling you right now, I've seen him work on this. Okay, so it's gonna sound
same.
Yeah, it's gonna sound decent. So you guys make sure you look out for that. And Max, are you music or no music type? Because we got.
Let's hear with the music.
Let's see. Oh, I didn't even have it. Lined up. Oh, hold on. Oh, let's get it. All right.
Wives in the chat. Let's hear them.
Yeah, they're in the chat, acting unusual. Wives in the chat acting unusual. Anyway, guys, if you're new to Locked In Christian, make sure you hit the, smash that. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna say that. Uh, I I can't stand
I'll
when
say it.
YouTubers. Yeah, please say
Smash that subscribe button.
it. I think it's the like button you smash, and then you hit the subscribe button,
Do that.
or is it? Which one is it? This
Just
is why.
smash both.
Yeah, just smash.
Just
This is why I don't use that saying. But yeah, do your thing if you want to see more of this channel. We do other videos, not just the live throughout the week. Go check those out. I went to the Bible Museum in Washington, D.C. Out of all the places in the world, there's a Bible Museum in Washington, D.C. And I did a video on it on the channel. So go check it out. I was there with the fam jam, and I think Max knows the fam. But anyway, guys, Max and I are actually a lot closer. We're almost like brothers, actually. If you
blood brothers, actually.
uh, yeah, something like
Yeah, a
that.
little
But
bit.
yeah, but our wives grew up together in a small town called St. Charles, Minnesota. Big shout out to all the St. Charles people out there holding it down. POP. Yeah, so we go way back as far as our wives go back. But anywho, Max, so why don't you give the people just a quick, I would say a quick mini summary um about you, first of all, and also just a little bit of your faith journey, of where you're at currently.
Yeah, so I was born in Florida, South Florida.
Woo, woo,
Grew up,
woo.
yeah,
What,
represent.
what city? What city? We have to
West Palm Beach.
do. You were born in West Palm Beach?
Well, maybe it was Wellington actually.
Yeah, you look more like a
St.
Wellington guy.
Mary's, yeah.
Oh wait,
More
no, St. Mary's. That's
well, there's two of them, so it's hard to I don't know. One of those.
well,
We'll
who
skip
cares?
past that
Small
one.
detail. Small detail.
What let's just say, Palm Beach County. And grew up my whole life around this area, went to school, these areas, and just started from a young age working for my father, the
Mm,
construction trade,
mm-hmm.
and always had a faith growing up. Started as a Catholic and sort of transitioned into just sort of a biblical Christian.
Mm.
And every day, just working towards heaven, because that's the ultimate goal.
Amen.
There's highs and lows, a lot of lows, but lots of highs to counterbalance it to make it all just right until we get to the final destination.
Amen. And you're also newlywed.
Newlywed, so that's a fun addition to the life.
Mm.
Beautiful wife, Ty.
I've
She's
I've seen her. I've seen her. Absolute looker.
absolutely. And yeah, we're on a journey together, and every day since we've been married, it just seems like our goal in life is just to have babies and raise them to be good Christians.
Hey, that's what I mean. The Bible is pretty clear on that one part.
Clear. Yeah.
Very clear on that one part. But Max is a lot younger than me. He's a newlywed, but he's a young newlywed, I would say. I think wait, you get 25, Max? 25?
26.
Oh,
Just
oh my
had
oh my fault, big dog. You did
just
have
had a
just have a
birthday.
birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. I was
That's right.
26. Big two sizzy. 26, that's a fun age. If you when you make it to 26, you kind of look around like I'm getting close to 30. You start to think about it. Is that something
I
you
that's
process?
yeah, often. Think after I got married, like
Yeah.
shortly after, I was like, oh, okay. So now we're really jumping into gear, huh? And just
Mm,
it's gonna go to some crazy places real quick.
real quick. Yeah. Once 30, dude,
Just
everything
start
just
picking out a cemetery. Just gotta get my spot ready.
well, you gotta get a walker first. But 30, everything does break down. I'm not even gonna lie. But yeah. Well, really,
Already
I was
got yeah, I was gonna say I already herniated my disc, so I'm almost there.
herniated disc. Uh, so you grew up in the SoFlo, man. So you're used to this heat. But what would you say growing up Catholic? Because that's actually me as well in Congo. I think we went to Jehovah's Witness first. Have you ever seen those people? Have you ever been like
I have, yeah.
Did they ever knocked on your door like the Jehovah's
Never
Witness
knocked on
people?
my door, but we did have a mechanic. We had a lot of vehicles, so and he was a Jehovah's Witness mechanic.
No.
So there'd be days where we either would be with my sister or my dad. We would just spend hours there, like debating faith. As
Nah.
Catholics, I don't want to say verses, but
Yeah.
versus like their ideal ideas of what Christianity looks like, because they got
Mm.
some different views for sure.
Man, it was so different. Matter of fact, the one thing I can remember clearly when I was in Matadi, my mom would drag us to the Jehovah Witness church. But for some reason, I don't know if you ever seen the cross for the Jehovah Witness, but Jesus
I
is
don't
like,
think I have.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
Jesus is like this
right.
on the
It's
cross.
not actually a cross. It's more of just like a post.
Yeah, he's like this, and he's not like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, why? I was like, that's all I knew for the longest. When I get here, and then I get invited to a Catholic church here. Jesus was on a cross like this. Now at this point, I'm like 8 years old, and I'm just confused now. I'm like, which way did he die though? Why is that
Mhm.
even an argument? You know what I mean? Like,
Right, right.
why did they pick that hill?
I remember actually with this one specific Jehovah Witness argue. I mean, I wasn't the one arguing. I was younger, but listening
Uh,
to the argument of just of how much it matters in which he died, because they call it like an idol, basically the cross.
yeah,
That's like that was his argument, at least this one guy.
it was just it was just weird, man. It's a weird hill to pick. I was like,
Yeah.
why did y'all just what was the point? And then I remember asking my dad, why you not going to church with us? And my dad said, I've already read all the Bible. That's a quote straight up from my dad. Um, and
Good
I was
quote.
like, and I still don't understand what he meant by that, but cool. Maybe I'll find out later. But growing up in South Florida, did you feel like there was a church community um, just around you as you were growing up?
I'd say once once we were taken out of school
Mhm.
and we started doing like online homeschooling, we found the community that did the same thing basically. And I felt a strong sense of community when we were around them, people my age, and then the parents. We'd
Mhm.
all get together every week, so that felt like community. And honestly, when I first started going, when we were really going to Catholic church every morning, uh, I'd say the one I went to, which was St. Ignatius, it was like a strong community there.
I've seen
She
it.
did feel good at that one.
Really?
Yeah, I was young, but
Yeah.
that Catholic church was a strong sense of community. Then we left that church just because the whole drama with the Catholic faith as well, and
Every
we
church
moved
got
more,
drama.
of course. We moved to more like just biblical, keep getting back to the roots, actually read the Bible, because as a Catholic, you're never really taught to read the Bible. It was more just like go to church.
Right.
But yeah,
Hey,
once we started reading the Bible as like a family, that's when we got locked in and found like some communities.
you got locked in, huh? Interesting.
Yeah, it's good. Good choice of
I
words for
see
that.
what you did there. No, the reason why I asked that is because statistically speaking, Florida has some of the most unchurched people ever. Like, just never even been to
Hmm.
church, period. And for me, someone that grew up in North Carolina after I left Congo, I grew up in North Carolina, so I have a little bit of that country accent. But most people in North Carolina, end up at church at some point. Like, you either get dragged by your parents or something. But most people, I mean, there's a church every half a mile in the city of Greensboro. I mean, it's freaky. Like, but for some reason, when I came to South Florida, they were like, "Man, this is unchurched." I was like, "Unchurched? Why? I mean, you
Mm.
got all this sun. Why are we not going to church? Why do you feel like that's something that affects the state of Florida pretty aggressively? I mean, someone that's naturally from here.
So yeah, there's maybe two reasons. When it's always sunny out, you just weather's good. There's no need to pray. When you're up in a place
Mm,
like St. Charles and it's cold,
you
you're
gotta
like,
pray.
"Dear God, please bring the sun out today.
Right.
Please, God." So you really get on your hands and knees and you find a church. So
Mhm.
you can all pray for the same effort. It's either that or the demographic of people moving here is people who, let's say, made it in life
Mm.
and they're more relying on, the money they have or, the experience, their life experiences instead of just throwing themselves, to God.
Mm. So you don't think it's like the natural born and raised Floridians, more like the imports, like myself or, people from New York, all these unchrist-like, non-Christians, atheists flocking down to Florida?
I'd say so because this place does drag from a lot of like the places where that would be
Mm.
more the prevalent, attitude in life. So yeah, I'd say definitely the imports.
The
Not like
imports.
yourself though,
Yeah, I mean,
because you came in locked in.
hey, it's hard though, like, but you're right, the sun is out in Florida all the time, so it is very hard, to wake up on that Sunday morning and not, hit the beach or catch some waves or something, even though it's not something that I would do personally, you can
100%.
yeah, you ain't
Same.
catching me hitting no waves unless I'm getting hit by a wave,
Nothing.
but but it's really an interesting, thought, but for someone at your age and your generation, would you say, just from your experience and your friends, are majority of your friends, in that like, oh, I kind of feel like the Bible, has some truth to it, or like I'm lean more on the Christian side of the spectrum versus the atheist side? Like, how's that dynamic for the Gen Zs?
I'd say definitely run into people who are at least know that they believe in God, the
Mm,
Christian God, around my age, 100%. Like most of the people eh, but I also feel like I'm in spaces that also tailor to that. I don't even go to places where I wouldn't find that.
right,
It's called the gym. Like most people in the gym, they have goals in life. They understand that those goals aren't hard to make because they're in the gym. So they are relying on a God.
right.
So I definitely say my age demographic does have more Christians
Really?
than not.
Wow.
At least what I meet. Like I said,
Yeah.
you stick to the right areas, that's how it's going to be. But then, yeah, you still meet a lot of people that don't have faith or just don't care to even you know find a way to that because they're so busy chasing a life in
Right.
this world where it's easy to get distracted.
Yeah, and I know you're a big gym bro, okay? You're a big gym bro. And my favorite part about going into the gym is seeing the people with like the big cross tattoos on them, okay? You're
I have a few
or
of those in my gym, yeah, for sure.
or like, or like the complete verse of like, the entire book of Philippians on your back, or you got John on your chest, or what is that? What
316,
is the
yeah.
Proverbs? What is the Proverbs verse that everyone is it 44? Is it Proverbs 44? What am I thinking about? There's like just slap it on
One
you,
of the Psalms, yeah.
but then like behave any other way. Like this is possibly why I don't have any tattoos, right? I have zero
Hmm.
tattoos for that reason alone. Because remember, once you stamp something on yourself,
You
you
gotta
almost
stand
like,
by it.
yeah, you almost like cannot behave any other way unless it's like,
Mm-mm.
bro, what?
It's
Like
gotta represent you.
you got this giant like Galatians 5 or something on your chest, and you're working out and you're just
So,
like cussing people out at the gym. Do you see anything like that in the gym, by the way?
I the gyms I go to, no, everyone's
You
pretty chill.
everyone's no no one's in there with a big
I've
cross
heard
on
of
their back cussing people out.
the other day someone did like I think someone walked in front of themselves and they were recording and they got pissed off and they punched the drywall. But I don't know about his tattoo
Did
status.
you check the
So
tats? Always check the tats, man.
I
So
wasn't
it's
there. I know. I know who it is. I just haven't seen him since I think he was banned.
it was bad.
But he was always like in a tracksuit. So honestly, if he did have tats, I wouldn't know. But
Mm.
next time I see some crazy stuff down, I'm gonna full body check him.
Check the tat, bro. But bro, can I see your back real quick?
This is a psalm here, and
Yeah.
it talks about peace and love is your neighbor.
So you
What's going
have
on?
you have this verse that says Jesus is all about peace. Yeah, but it's not for us to judge. I just think it's always interesting to slap that on you and then, show it first of all, not like hidden tattoo, like show it.
Right.
Uh, but anyway, I work with a lot of young people. I coach soccer, and I'm always interested in like how you view the faith at that age, because when Paul talks to Timothy and tells him, hey, not to be ashamed of your age. I mean, he was what, between 14 and 16 when he was preaching essentially to people. But I'm always curious, like, how do you view the faith from your perspective? Like, if you're in Timothy's shoes, like, how do you view the faith?
I need some clarification. I need you to
Mm.
clarify that question.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
it's a tough question. It's like, how do you see, um, like, how real? Okay, let me rephrase that. How real is the kingdom of heaven to you?
mm, that is a good question. It's actually a great question. How real is it to me? It's hard to say it hasn't just become a habit,
Hmm.
just because I feel like it's ingrained to me. Like, especially growing up as a Catholic, for example, it's like ingrained in you that there's a place that you go after you die, and
Yeah.
you're judged by a man or a God. Your God, the one that you live your life for. And it's just, to me, it just feels so natural to always be looking forward to the place after this. Because to me, it's like this world, there has to be a meaning to it. You can't just live this whole
Mm,
life, act any way you want, and it just to be over. That doesn't feel real to me
mm,
compared to a place where you do get rewarded. Because I mean, life is about punishments and rewards. You do the right thing, you know, you can still be punished, but typically your life goes in a certain way when you do the right thing and make the right choices.
right,
So it just makes sense. It feels natural to me because mainly because I grew up with it, but
right.
to me it makes sense that there is a kingdom of heaven. There is a place that you go when you truly just be a selfless person
Yeah.
and live your life for others, and you will get to that place where you're just balling. This,
That's a fair
I mean,
summarization there.
there's gonna be LeBron. I
You
mean,
can, you can. I would just to add to that question. And the reason why I always ask this question is because at some point, right, even in our Christian journey, in our Christian walk, we come to a place where we question something. You just do. It's a natural human feeling where you're questioning something. You're like, wait, oh, okay, okay, okay,
right,
okay. How real? How much of this am I willing to put my life on the line for? You know what I mean? So if you think about what
right,
Paul is telling us, is like, yeah, you put your life on the line for your faith at some point. Uh,
sure,
and I remember myself in the future, there were times where I don't think I put my life on the line for it. I'll be just straight up. You know what I mean? But I think
yeah.
that part, starts to happen later as you start to mature. So when did you feel that little bit of a shift for you as a younger generation,
Mm.
where you went from, I don't know if I'd die for the faith yet, to where, like, I would definitely die for the faith now. You know what I mean? Like, when did that switch happen, and when did it kind of just like click in your head? Or if it still hasn't happened, or if you're still kind of struggle with it daily.
Oh, I mean, at this point, I definitely don't struggle with it. It's like
It's good.
I know for a fact that if it came down to putting my life down for my faith, I could do
Mm,
it. And that, not that I could do it, but I would need to do it because it's just what
right.
I believe in. It's not like I have a choice. It's hard to say exactly when it happened. I feel like the big changing points in my life where I've gone through like traumatic incidents,
Hmm.
some of,
Yep.
that those have shaped the way I look at it every day. So every day I can wake up and know that I'm ready to die for my faith.
Mm,
So I don't, I really can't think of a time where I fell to my knees and said, okay, I'm ready to accept it.
yeah.
Or, because it's like I feel like it's always been there. Like even from a young age, I feel like I knew that Christ was real and that heaven was real and that, the only way to get there is, actually, for some reason, there's always a memory that stuck with me. We had a nanny when I was young, so I was maybe like 8 at the time, 8 or 9, and I don't know who. I think my sibling asked the question because we just got back from church. Maybe it was a sermon on like a subject like this, and it was like, "Will you die for your faith?" And I think
Mm.
maybe it was. I don't know, but the question was posed. It's like a gunman came to you right now and put a gun to your head and said, "Do you believe in Jesus?" And if you do, if you say yes, I'm going to pull the
Yeah.
trigger. And I remember I was like, I'm saying yes. I mean,
Y-
in my head, I knew about martyrs then. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a free ticket, my boy.
Free
You know,
ticket.
you know, pass that out. Come on,
Yeah.
come on. Put 2 in me, please.
But two.
You know,
I don't think you're gonna fill the second one.
yeah.
But
Just
dude,
to be
that
locked in.
I
No, but
need.
anyway, she was like, no, I would just like say I don't, but then like I know what I truly believe. To me, I was like, oh, you can't do that. You cannot do
Mm,
that. So that like blew my mind that that was her response. But it's like I get it. She was like, what if I had like a kid? And I'm like, okay, well, you bring in all these other things. I can see as
mm,
a, you know, that there's things that you wouldn't want to, you know, because then would it be selfish to let yourself be killed and have your young child without a mom? So it's like at that point I couldn't. I was like, that you got me there. But yeah, I just remember that one. So no, I'm ready to die. But
that's
anyway,
honestly, it's not an easy question, and I think
no,
for a lot of Christians, if you even if you're a parent, if you become a parent, all of a sudden you do have that thought in your head, but you also have to, remember as a parent, you've just been put in charge on earth for this person who also have their own soul. You know what I mean? At some point,
yeah,
my son would have to place his faith, just like I did. I mean, he's on his own. You know what I mean? That's what that's pretty much what the word is telling us. So,
pretty
uh,
much.
if that time go, you gotta take that. It's a W. It's not even an L. It's a
That's a
W.
W. Hey, that's a
It,
W.
it's a
That's a W.
massive W.
It's
Um,
huge.
all right, so just to transition from the hard questions. Okay, we did it. We got through the hard questions. Okay, Max, you did well. Let's reward you with a little bit of. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we kick it. Yeah. So now let's talk a little bit of fashion because I mean, just look at just even now. I mean, just it's the swag's always intact. Um
Sure,
and
let's go with that.
sure. The swag's always intact.
It's too
But
lazy to do my hair, so I put a hat on. So
hey man, listen,
you know,
I'm telling you that hairstyle is popping off more than you
popping
think. I coach soccer. They all have
the
the
spaghetti.
the ramen
Yeah,
going
the
on. It's
ramen
hey,
noodles
listen,
for sure.
it's the style. It looks normal. Um, but do you feel like, first of all, do you feel like there were some biblical figures that we may have been skipping over that had some swag, that had some style,
Oh yeah,
that had to be
definitely.
rocking the latest kafir?
100%. I mean, you gotta feel like, especially those old timers, like they had to be the ones
First
that
of all,
lived
out of
like
all the disciples, who do you think had the most swag?
I'd say probably the Sons of Thunder. I feel like that duo, you know, they James and John, they're just gonna be swagged out. 100%.
I mean, I'm thinking more like you probably needed capital. You need access to some bread.
You're thinking
So
Matthew, but
I'm
I
thinking,
don't know.
I'm thinking
He's a
the
tax
tax
collector.
tax collector, bro.
No, I thought
He,
about that.
he had a
But
lot of spare change,
but
on
there
him. A lot.
you gotta think about it. You gotta think maybe back then
Hmm.
money just got you, you know, but we know these days that just because you have money doesn't mean you're gonna dress swaggy. Because you go to a vintage store and find better swag than you can find in a Gucci or a Dior store. It's all how you
Mm,
wear it, you know what I'm saying? I'm
right.
sure Matthew popped out with some fantastic,
some
you know,
some robes.
some fantastic robes that, you know, but the colors are, you know, a little,
Well,
you
I
know,
I don't even think there was color because I think you had to have some bread to have color.
that's
If
what
you
I'm
had any
saying.
color, you were already upper echelon. But so how so I look at I was at you ever heard of Elevation Church? It's one of those
Yes.
giant
Yes, I've
mega
heard of
mega
it.
churches. Okay. So we went to Elevation. We were in Charlotte a while back, and we went to Elevation with one of my boys there you met, Joanne. Um, and I looked on stage. One, there was like 17 people on stage. Okay. and and I don't know if this is a new thing for some
Right.
churches, okay, but there were 17 individuals plus, like, a drummer. I'm like, "There is a lot of people," and it wasn't like, how it used to be in the old church choir, you have, like, the choir in the back. No, it's just,
Sure.
like, random people standing with a microphone here, there. It was just I was like, "What's going on?" Okay, I'm like, I have a lot questions, but that's not what stuck out to me, okay? What stuck out to me
Sure.
was the clothes, was the
Oh,
swag that was on stage, okay?
we talking swag or we
Oh my
talking?
gosh, where I'm talking like, like the big like, exactly what I'm talking about, the big oversized, like, you know, cut off like a hoodie shirt looking thing. I mean, this
Mm,
is on stage of,
is that like the drummer?
church. No, it's not the drummer. Like, these are the people that are singing. You got the oversized, baggy, sweatpants with, like,
Jeez.
the boot cut open, and, like, some interesting shirt that's, like, tight on one area and it's, like, big somewhere else.
Wow.
And this was, like, all
You sure you didn't go to a fashion show?
you know what? I might oh, no,
Like, did you see the runway? I mean,
I know exactly where I was, but that was my question, I was like, what is going on right now? I mean, it's on stage. How do you feel about, when you go to church and you look on stage, everyone's got on like what you got on, like not what I got on. I wear, old crap, but they're wearing like the new swag, the fresh swag. But when you look on stage and you see that, how does that make you feel when you walk into a church like that?
listen, the people they're trying to appeal to,
Mm.
I mean, it depends who's there. Maybe they have kids, a lot of youth to assume. I mean, are they younger people on stage dressed like
Yeah,
that?
I mean, there was some definitely mid-30s guys in there, early 20s, mid-20s.
Hmm.
It looked like a nice spectrum, but the clothing did not matter. Like mid-30s, mid-20, 40s, everyone's rocking those. Just the new get
They,
up.
they must have just like a stylist that like just has a theme of just like
Mm,
it must have like a Gen Zer as a stylist and be like, "Oh, you're in this, you're in that."
yeah.
And they're probably like 40 years old, like, "Are you sure? I mean, is this the style? All right, this is gonna pop off with the kids, you know?"
But when you walk into that situation, do you feel comfortable now all of a sudden? You're like, I can worship. Everyone's we're in tune as far as the fashion go. Or are you
I
thrown
think
off
it
by it?
really, I think it really depends on where the sermon goes. It's like if those people are just
Those are just the
singing,
worship. That was
it's
just
just the
worship.
worship.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like, all right, they just got a funky get up, I'll take it. I mean, the worship's important, but I'd probably like try to, if it's a new church, it definitely throw me off because I'm just not used to it.
Mm, right. And I felt thrown off by that, but, then I thought I was just being an old guy, you know what I mean? Like a old man, like, why is everyone dressed that way? But then if you think about old, like 10, 15 years ago, you go into church, everyone's wearing church clothes. Remember how we used to have church
Yeah,
clothes?
for sure. You
Like,
got your suit.
what happened to church clothes? Because when's the last time you wore something that felt like church
Yeah,
clothes?
it's true. It's been a while. Last funeral I've been to, funeral
Yeah.
service, that'd be the last time I wore church clothes. But I mean, I've worn church clothes a few times in my life. Yeah, especially more in Catholic church, I'd say. But
Yeah.
yeah, back in the day, they definitely got up with this church clothes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like we've gone away from that. By the way, if you're on the chat, let us know in the chat. When was the last time you
I think it should come back.
yeah, when's the last let us know in the chat. When was the last time you felt like you wore church clothes at church?
Right.
Because I feel like that whole trend has left
I
the
feel like
building.
you and I should start a church, and it's like only church clothes, like
Only church clothes.
dress in the nines,
Yeah.
or else you
Dress
can't come.
shoes and, dress pants that open up at the bottom for sure, because
Yeah,
that's how we used to dress back in the mid 2000s, early 2000s. But I just think that as fashion is changing, rapidly, we weren't really affected by that in the church. But now I feel like we are. The
mm,
there's no more like this reverence of, hey, I'm going to church, I'm gonna tighten up the clothing, or if I'm gonna be on stage, forget just going to church, right? If I'm gonna be on stage
Right.
singing, you know what I mean? Like what is all types of drag? I know a family church, they kind of have like a stricter code. So I mean, my wife sings there. She's in the they have to wear jeans, I think, something like that. They have to wear
Hmm.
pants and a, black top or something like
Yeah.
that. But wearing the fashion forward get up is it's just interesting on stage, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, what if you know what I mean? Like, you're seeing people wear your closet essentially on stage. Like, does that make you more comfortable
All right.
or
Let's not
less
call it
comfortable?
my closet,
Hey, man,
first
it's
of
your
all.
closet. It's a nice closet. Let's
I've
not
been out
joke
of the
around.
closet and in and out, and that was not my closet. All right.
No, but how do you so how do you address the
The rumors, I don't know.
I would say, how do you address, being somebody that, stays in the fashion, which obviously it's good outwards, but how do you address it whenever you go into a church? Do you feel like there should be some type of like separation into how we, operate outside versus when we're in around believers and stuff like that? Do you even see it in that way, or do you just kind of like, it's just close?
If we're speaking just strictly clothes, I mean, yeah, I mean, I just say you have to. I said it doesn't matter other than look presentable, for your
Mm,
Lord. How would you want Jesus to see you? Because this is your most intimate setting
right.
with Jesus. Your entire week, right? You get that one chance.
Hmm.
You got to dress up a little bit for the guy. He would come in a nice suit probably to your house, or like a maybe
Right.
button down, some trousers, a light beige possibly, maybe even all white. I don't know.
Light beige.
And so I feel like you just gotta, get, put a little bit of effort in your fit, but don't go too crazy, So
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Now, what about if you saw the pastor wearing exactly what you got on? Like, say, like, your most flyest outfit. Okay, your
I
flyest fit, and you're just like, yeah, it's just like the wife goes, yeah, that's
feel
a
like
nice
I
fit.
just want my pastors focused on Christ, like they got to be more focused on Christ than me. That's for sure. So if they got time that much time to put into their fit, they're not focused on Christ enough. That's my answer there.
Okay, okay. So I mean for sure, but there's a new church that's out there called the Charismatic Church. I don't know if you've seen some of them.
Hmm.
There's some pretty big ones in New York, and I think Justin Bieber was in part of one of them for a little bit, something like that. But this new Charismatic Church, and it's really grabbing a lot of the youth, and a lot of younger generations, probably even the newer generation as well, just because the pastor feels a little bit more relatable in that sense with the fashion, the clothing, or even the music. Like if you're working with different artists, how have you seen anything on that charismatic church stuff? By the way.
I mean, I'd say the extent is probably with just Justin Bieber. I know he's like going towards the faith. I haven't seen much of that charismatic movement
Yeah.
in my walk, but whatever brings you closer to Christ, right? So
I mean, it's
that's the goal, right? So, I'm not going to speak to it if I don't know about it, but if it's bringing them closer to Christ, then that's a good
mhm.
thing.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, let's do some quick fire. Let's do some quick fire questions before we close on some things. We're gonna take just some quick fire. These are some trivia questions. All right. Do you want easy, medium, or difficult? Where are you feeling on your Bible trivia right now? Because easy, medium, or difficult?
Let's start with medium, and then we can upgrade if we need to, but I'm sure we'll stick with medium.
Okay. Okay. All right, here we go. You guys ready? By the way, in the chat, the rule is for locked in Christian. If you can answer before Max, on the chat, you get 1,000 points.
How
All
many
right,
points do I get?
you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just get it right. You sure?
Great.
All right. So medium. Ooh, medium looks a little okay. 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 Here we go. All right.
Difficult.
You ready? All right. What did?
Sure.
All right. Oh, this one's. I feel like. All right. This one should start. This one. What did Moses part to escape Egypt? Go.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Red Sea.
Oh, all right. Good. Okay. Who betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces?
Judas.
All right. Too easy. All right. Here we go. We're moving on. We're moving on. Here we go. Which prophet saw a vision of dry bones coming to life?
Uh, well, I have a question. Do you know it? Other than
Uh,
did you know it before?
yes, I did. Yeah, I knew it
Oh,
before.
okay.
Yeah, 'cause it's a very famous. They sing about this.
Dry bones.
They sing. Yeah, they sing about this a lot
Who's they?
at the church.
Oh.
Anybody in the somebody say Judas. No. Oh wait, Judas was the other answers. Okay, okay, okay. Okay.
Let's see.
All
I'm
right. The
trying to
last
think.
question was somebody missed it. Which
Oh,
prophet saw a
s-
vision
I
of
see in the
dry
chat
bones
Elijah.
coming to
Is
life?
that true?
Mm. Was it Elijah?
Oh, it wasn't Abraham? It wasn't Abraham.
Hmm?
Uh, what's his name? Ezekiel. No, I didn't get it. The chat got it.
This, yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely Ezekiel.
Okay. No, I did not.
Joshua
I
came in
didn't know
with
that one.
Ezekiel. 1,000 points, Joshua. Good.
Takes it.
Yeah. Hey, you were there.
Yeah.
You were there. It's Ezekiel.
Yeah. No, I
Interesting
was
book.
not there, but
I would read that book, by the way. It's real game changer. All right, here we go. How many churches are addressed in Revelation? This is a hard one.
mm, is it 7 or 6? Or is that 2? Is that like, or is it a lot higher than that? Isn't it?
Addressed. Oh
Was
wait,
I anywhere?
what'd you say?
Was
What was
that
the first thing
close?
you said? What's
I
the
said
first thing you said?
7 or 6.
No, you're right. 7. It was 7.
Okay, 7. That was my
It was
first
7.
guess. There we go.
All right, here we go. All right, we'll do
It was either, I know it was either 6 or 7 or like 30 for some reason. I don't know. I was thinking 30.
ooh,
Go
all
ahead.
right. This one, all right. This one's really, really hard. Like I would struggle. All right. Which Old Testament book never mentions God by name?
Old Testament book.
Never mentions God by name.
I mean, it'd be me guessing here.
Go ahead. Old Testament.
All the books I can think of, pretty sure mentions God's name. So
Come on, there's got to be one.
let's just go with Maccabees. Oh, is it
Maccabees.
Esther?
What book is that?
I don't know.
Ushak, good gosh, it is Esther.
All right,
Jeez.
good job.
Well,
Good job.
Esther's
That was a tough one,
Esther's a very popular book, with the
ladies.
with the ladies.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. It's a great book. But anyway, so hey, you made it through. I think you got like 5 points. Yeah, and we gave you half a credit for 1. All right, so as we start to wrap up with Max, guys, he's our first, by the way, our first Gen Z guest on Locked In Christian. So I gotta, first we gotta give you that credit because
There you go. That's another 5 points.
yeah, that's another 5 points. So you're a 6. So that didn't add up. Max, let me ask you, what do you think is the biggest challenge for younger generations, not just Gen Z, but a little bit younger? What do you think is the biggest challenge with the current state we are in the world, and being able to accept Jesus Christ? Like, what is the biggest challenge that's really kind of like blocking or preventing a lot of Gen Zs and younger generations from essentially accepting Christ?
I'd say it's one of the biggest hurdles for those who have heard of Christ, right? Because we got to start with the ones that are just hearing about him and seeing. It's the examples that they see in this world, like whether it be their friends or just TV, the way it's represented, or the stories online. The media doesn't always push the best narrative for people who you know say they're Christians. So I'm sure it puts a bad taste in people's mouths when they don't
Mm,
get the best representation on all the media they consume, because there's not much media there to promote all the good, you know, of
mhm,
Christianity, just the negatives. So, it's that, and then just this whole world is geared as a distraction to bring you away from Christ. I mean, uh, almost everything we see and do and consume in this modern world is all there just to pull you away, from what the ultimate goal is, which is to get to heaven. So it's like if they don't even get to that point, they immediately have roadblocks, and they don't even get to the next step of accepting Christ. They're still
mm,
hung up on all the they're still hung up on worldly things, until you have, like, depending on how you're, brought up, until you have that moment where you're like, oh, I need something bigger than me. It's like you're gonna just keep floating through life,
right.
You're not gonna have that moment where you need something bigger than you to help you, right?
Mm,
So, if you're able to skate by, then you're gonna be able to just walk on by it.
right.
And then those people who are just against it because they love the world too much. It's like what it offers is, they're happy with that. They don't see a need to look towards something greater than them. They're
Mm.
just happy. They're just happy. I gotta plug my phone in.
All good.
One
Um,
percent just saved it.
wow, that was
So
close.
yeah,
Now, no, I mean, I thought you were gonna say like Snapchat or something. That would have been Snapchat. Very specific, but wow.
yeah.
I mean,
TikTok.
I know. I mean, TikTok is good and also
Oh
bad.
yeah, I was gonna say
All the
it
same
really
thing, right?
depends on what you're consuming on there. That one's hard to to get something specific because it's just random. But like, yeah, all this evil in the world, it's like God still did a good job of letting it also be used for good. So if you're just on YouTube, it's like there's a lot of evil stuff you can watch, but there's also a ton of good stuff. And without that media there, you wouldn't know much of the stuff that all you would have is the Bible. You wouldn't have all the supporting elements around it, which helps you understand it, because it's all we really got. Just one book, and that's our representation for
Yeah, something that I think about a lot is like instant gratification is literally our culture now, and
you know
and and when you start in the faith in your faith journey, just there's no instant. The only instant thing you get is once you place your faith in Christ, you are instantly in the hand of God. But your growth going through the process of sanctification is gonna take a while. You know what I mean? It's you gotta beat out all the you gotta essentially you gotta beat you.
right.
Your
It's true.
competition is you because you are the person that fights God the most.
Hmm.
Um through our journey. But I think the instant gratification culture makes it really difficult to take some time in the faith because you have to transition and learn and grow, and it takes time. And I
Right.
just don't think, I don't think our culture is leading to where people want to take the time anymore. It's like even now reading the Bible, you're just gonna go summarize it on on Chat GPT or something. Like, give me a summary
Yeah.
of Timothy as opposed to like reading it yourself or
Right.
what
It
is
takes a lot
Numbers
of
all
work.
about?
I mean, that's the
Yeah.
point. It's you're able to get that instant gratification on
Mhm.
almost everything you do. So when you have a book where you actually have to put a little bit of effort in,
Right.
you know, and you're gonna look at that and be like, I mean, I'm guilty of it too. You
Hmm.
look at it sometimes, you're like, well, I mean, I could do that, or I could go do this other thing, and it's gonna make me happier faster than reading the Bible and just getting closer to your Lord, even though you know what you should do. Ultimately you won't be happy with those instant gratifications. All you want is more. You're never content. You just constantly need to fill a void.
All right, let's leave off with one advice that you would give to a young Christian that it's in your generation or younger. What's one good advice that you would pass on down, to them?
As of right now, in my 26 years on this life, I would really have to say Because if I'm speaking directly to him, it's like you got to embrace Christ.
Get off Snapchat.
And get off Snapchat and embrace Christ.
Right.
Unless you're using Snapchat to glorify Christ, as long
Right.
there's all these tools in this life that use all the tools available for to you to bring glory to Christ, because
Mm,
your life is going to be very short. It's going to go by very quickly, unfortunately. You know, but as long as you can stick to what God had laid out for you in your life, because it really does just make sense. What's in
wow.
the Bible, it all makes sense. You read it or you summarize it with Chat GPT, it doesn't matter. It still makes sense.
Yeah.
And you're going to be happier that way than seeking, like you said, instant gratification on Snapchat.
Get off
What are you
Snapchat.
doing on Snapchat? Come on.
Yeah, get off Snapchat. Yeah,
What you doing?
Well, Max, listen, I can't thank you enough for pulling up on 9:30 start time. Whew,
Oof,
that's late.
tough.
That's a
It's
late
past my
start.
best time.
I'm not gonna lie.
I'm already in bed because
That's a
I'm ready
late
for
start.
bed.
My wife's been in bed for 10 hours. Already on her 12th dream. Nah, I think she's on live. But
She's passed out. She's snacking.
yeah, listen, big thank you for not only being the first Gen Z guest and braving it out here on Locked In Christian, but thank you for sharing, word
Yeah,
of
happy to be
advice
here.
to all the youngins out there. Max, we appreciate you, and we'll holler at you on the flip side, my brethren.
Yeah, let's run it back. I'm ready.
Yes,
Big
sir.
dog.
You'll be back. All right, brother.
Oh, for sure.
All right. So thanking our guests, Maximus, who joined us there, just to share some words. I'm always curious about what they see that actually envision yourself within the faith. Like, how do you operate in there? And we're probably going to get Max back at another episode so we can dive in a little bit deeper on that. But guys, all of you guys that has been following the channel for a while, appreciate y'all for sure. Make sure you do the the YouTube thing to see more stuff. And we're also always here 9:30 Friday nights. No skips. Okay, we're always here live, locked in, and now we're talking to Christians out there. So make sure you check out. And if you have anybody that's interesting that we need to talk to, pull up, give the suggestion up there. If it's your grandpa, grandma, if we're on our way to meet the president of the United States, how would you dress? Oh, Usha, that's a good question. Wow, yeah. That's a good question. Wow, we didn't even see that earlier. Yeah, we got to get on that chat better, man. The chat is absolutely fire tonight. Good job, guys. Give yourself a round of applause. Okay, big news, guys. This artist named Frenchy Riff, heard about him, but there's an album coming out called Matadi in May. June, I can't remember, May or June, one of those months. Super excited about it. I've been working on it, feels like my whole life. It's literally stories of when I was in Congo, put into songs and beats that hopefully people will enjoy, but more importantly, it points to the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. But also before that, you can go on edifymusic.com and you can listen to little snippets of the album. Stuff is there. It's there right now. It won't be there for long, but you go edifymusic.com. You can see some snippets of the album. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. We'll see you next Friday, 9:30, unless you check us out on Wednesday as well. All right. Holla!
The name is Tango Shepherd. Man, right now more positive. Yes, the Lord will bless me. That's why my verse not nasty. The devil tryna chase me, still it not gon' catch me. Because my family bless me. They always armed and ready. Even if the world against me, the industry